The Dyson V15 is the best cordless vacuum we've tested, and I use it every day. But it's kind of expensive. So I was hunting around on Amazon and I discovered that this budget Levoit is actually kind of a big seller. So of course, I picked one up. So what I want to know is, can this budget Levoit even come close to competing with this very expensive Dyson V15? No sponsor today, so we're gonna find out. We're gonna start off with our smoke test. Our smoke test evaluates how good each vacuum is at keeping the dust inside the canister where you want it. If the dust is getting back into the air because of leaks, that means that allergens and stuff is going back into the air, and the vacuum is somewhat useless. The Dyson products all do a really good job of keeping the smoke inside the canister. You would expect that for a lot of money. On the other hand, most inexpensive vacuums are basically a smoke show. However, the Levoit was actually surprisingly good.
This is definitely a better performer than I expected.
Next, we're going to look at suction and airflow, which we tested at the highest settings for both vacuums. The Dyson V15 is the best cordless we've tested, with airflow at the wand at 42 meters per second. That's pretty close to some corded vacuums. We tested the Levoit at 17 meters per second, so it's roughly 40% as powerful. Next, we tested suction at the wand. And again, the Dyson is the highest cordless we've ever tested at 31 kilopascals. The Levoit momentarily spiked up to 13 kilopascals before settling down to 8. That means it has roughly 1/3 the suction of the Dyson. And that leads us to our pickup testing. For our first pickup test, we're gonna sprinkle 40 grams of sand on the floor and see how much each vacuum can pick up. You know, it actually works a lot better when you put the canister on the actual vacuum. On hardwood, the Levoit picked up 100%, which is kind of a baseline and expected even for inexpensive vacuums. And the Dyson V15, of course, also picked up 100%. But what about carpet? Again, 40 grams of sand. This time we ground it in with our special purple shoe, and the Levoit picked up 85%. The Dyson, however, picked up 100%. Now there is a really big price differential between these two vacuums, so let's see what you get with the Levoit first. You get the main unit with, I think, about 0.7, maybe 1 liter of capacity. This pops off, which is really nice for emptying it. It's got a mesh filter, which you should probably wash every 30 days or so. You've got this filter, which looks like a HEPA filter, but they don't call it one. I think they have the same specs as one. And then you've got a pre-motor filter. Now, one thing that's pretty impressive at this price point is the battery actually comes off, and you can actually buy replacement or additional batteries, which is very cool. You've got this beautiful display. Okay, actually no display at all. You just got these buttons to increase or decrease the amount of suction you got. The Levoit also comes with a cat. You get this crevice tool, which also doubles as a dusting brush tool. And then you get this dusting brush tool, which pops off, and you got this hard surface tool. What do you get with the much more expensive Dyson? So you get the main head unit. It has a display on it, which can show you the amount of battery life you have left or the amount of particles you've been picking up. It has a multiple cyclones in here is what I'm trying to say. You get a lot of cyclones that generates a lot of suction. You get this motor bar style head, which has adjustable gates on it, which is very useful. It's also anti-tangle. You also get the pièce de résistance, the fluffy head with a laser in it, which is actually really, really good for finding cat hair, which there's a lot of in this house. Also, if you got pets, you got this pet hair tool, which is quite good, actually. Then you get a dusting brush, you get a crevice tool, and then you get this wall mount. So for roughly 4 or 5 times the price, depending on the configuration, you do get a lot more. And this does feel a lot beefier, even though they're about the same weight. Let's look at the head designs of these two different vacuums. So this is the first head you get with the Dyson. It's called the motor bar. You can see you've got a set of fairly soft bristles here and a firmer row here of this red material. And the whole thing is anti-tangle. You can see there's combs right in the back here, and it's pretty effective. This is good for all-round usage, and it's actually the one you should use on carpet. And you get this gate over here too, so you can adjust how much goes in or not. The second head you get is the fluffy head, which is good for hardwood hard surfaces. It has a laser over here, Super useful. I love it. I use it all the time, and it really helps me identify the pet hair that gets in my house. If you're OCD, it's probably going to drive you crazy, but it's great. With the Levoit, you also get ahead. It also does have LEDs, which help you see the dirt in front of you, although it's not nearly as good as the green fluffy laser. My cats are having some kind of conversation back there. Saturn. It's also anti-tangle, and it has basically a row of bristles and these two alternating rows that are kind of firmer. Next, we're going to see how well the detangle capability works on each of these vacuums. So I've got some 6-inch hair. I have a couple different colors here and some pet hair mixed in. First, let's use the Dyson motor bar head. So did a great job, no tangles at all. Well, if you ask me, that looks pretty darn good too. Let's talk about maneuverability. One thing I really like about the Levoit is that it stands up on its own. There's actually very few vacuums that will do that. In terms of maneuverability, it's not bad. The head turns side to side pretty easily. On stairs, it's pretty easy to make it do its thing too, because you can see the handle bends a little bit. The Dyson definitely does not stand up on its own, but in terms of maneuverability, it's actually a lot better because the wand actually will bend quite substantially, even though it's creaking a little bit, and that just makes it easier to work on things like stairs. And they both have very similar weights at around 6.5 pounds. Let's talk battery life. So on the Levoit, you can get about 50 minutes if you're just using the crevice tool. However, if you're going to use the head, you're going to see maybe 30 minutes or so on the middle setting. The battery life is just not that great. When you go over to the highest setting, you get maybe 12 minutes. Overall, battery life, not its strong point. The Dyson V15 has fantastic battery life. If you're just using the crevice tool, you're gonna get way over an hour on this. Now, if you're using this in eco mode with the beater bar, you're gonna see 50 minutes, something like that. I just put it basically in automatic mode, and I go over my house, and it'll do about 45 minutes on one battery. It is very good. I can easily do my entire house in 45 minutes. And if you ever do need to swap it out, battery comes right out. And I think the batteries are pretty expensive on Amazon. So the final question, can the Levoit really compete with the V15 Dyson? Well, no, not really, but that's not a huge surprise. So of course it's not a fair comparison. The Dyson cost 5 times more than the Levoit. So of course it's better. Of course it has way more features, it has way more tools and all that kind of stuff. But should you consider the Levoit? The Levoit has perfectly fine pickup for a lot of people. It's not super powerful, but it does the job, and the head is anti-tangle, and at this price point, there aren't that many that have good anti-tangle heads, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Also, I really like the fact that you get a sealed canister. To me, that is super, super important. I just don't want all that stuff going back into my house. You get a couple basic tools, and yeah, it has maybe half the performance of the Dyson, but it's a fifth of the price. So that's a pretty compelling argument to me, and the reviews on Amazon are really good. Now, of course, if you can afford it, the Dyson is a far better vacuum cleaner in pretty much every respect, except the price. I use it every day. It's been super reliable for me, and I'm gonna have links to both of these down below, and there's another awesome video right over here. See you next time.